Hey, hey, hey! This is Rosa, rcgkreations. How are you? Today I'm going to be canning milk. I know this is not recommended by the USDA, and it's really hard to find too much information on Google and too much information on YouTube about it. But there are several channels out there that have canned, and a bunch of them are just different versions. So it's kind of pretty much, you gotta, I guess this is the one for sure that you're gonna have to use your own judgment and experience. Follow one that you think is pretty good, pretty accurate. Follow their channel, see how big or popular they are. Read all the comments for sure, because this is definitely something you're going to do at your own risk. So like everything else when it comes to pressure canning, water bath canning, dehydrating, do your own research, look it up for yourself. I personally keep everything in a spiral notebook, and it's just a regular little spiral notebook, and I write down who it is that where I got it from, who their channel is, the pints and the processing time between pints and quarts, or whatever size jar you're using, and I write step by step. And then I usually do 2 or 3 versions. I'll try it and I'll write down on there which one I tried to see which one I'll do like and don't like, what works, what doesn't work, because until you try it and do it, you're never going to really know. So anyway, I'm just using, because we only buy whole milk. I'm not much of a milk drinker, but my hubby is, and he likes whole milk. So it's just regular whole milk, and all you do is you pour it. You leave a 1-inch headspace. And that's not enough, but that's okay, because I already did 2 gallons, and I don't want to open another gallon, because I'm going to be honest with you, I forgot to turn the video on, the camera on, to do the video, be showing you I'm actually going to show you here, but pretend this is accurate. You want to fill your milk up to right here, this bottom rim, because this right here is a 1-inch headspace. Then you use your, let me turn this over. You use your, you don't have to heat up your lids anymore nowadays, because Ball says you don't have to do that. So, but I still keep them in clean, hot, sterile water, so that way the seal softens just a little bit. So everything else is the same. You just grab your little seal, get your cloth, and you wipe around it. Also double check to make sure there's any imperfections. If there is, and that's a jar you don't want to use. You may want to just use it for dehydrating, because it's not going to be good for water bath canning, and it's not going to be good for pressure canning. Okay, or just use it just as a jar, just to keep in your pantry to store something, even though it's not going to be air pressure sealed. Then you get your clean your lid with your rim with a wet paper towel or a clean cloth. I like to soak my paper towel in vinegar, white vinegar, and I just squeeze all the excess out, and then I wipe around it, and then I put my lid on, and then I like to, this is just me, Rosa, here's the word ball, and I always like to have the word ball or cur or whatever lid you're using facing that way, so when it's done, I clean it and I label it. It's already cohesive, and it's on there because it makes it easier when you store it in your pantry, or if you're going to give it away as gifts. And with the holidays coming, this is a good time to give some holiday goodies of some homemade products that you have, or just give them out as a donation to someone, a needy family. That's another thing that you can do with them. So just put on your lid, get your ring, and everything is finger tight when you're pressure canning. So pressure tight, but you can feel when it's sealing and when it's not sealing. And pressure tight means just these 2 fingers, your middle finger and your thumb. That's it. I'm just holding this here, but I'm only tightening with this finger. And for pressure canning, that's all you need. Now, if you're going to be using the tattlers, that's a whole different routine, and I will be doing a video because I have ordered some tattlers, so I'm waiting for them to come in. I've used 1 or 2 already, but I haven't actually done a thorough video, and I'm going to do a thorough video on the regular and the wide mouth tattlers, on how to use them, how to put them on, how to take them off when they come out of the canner, what you do and all that, and then how do you open them and stuff. So then you'll just put you're using a cold jar, because you're using cold milk, put it in a jar, and you put it in your canner, and you put as much water as your canner recommends that you use, but make sure that it's cold water, because you don't want to damage or break your jars while it's heating up. So I'm going to bring you on over to the canner. And I particularly have a All-American. Bear with me, I'm sorry, I'm moving here. I have an All-American 921. And it's fully loaded. I've got 18 pints in here. There's a rack, so that's what I'm using. And I'm just thinking, because of common sense type of situation, is you don't want to start this on really high heat. I'm doing it more like a medium high heat. And there, as you can see, I hope you can see that. And then there's my dial, because it's cold water, cold milk, and you don't want to shock everything. So I'm letting it rise. It's going to take a little bit longer. That's okay. Because you know what? The whole thing with pressure canning is, it is not a time thing. It's not something you done. It is a time thing, but it's not done fast. So keep that in mind. Okay. So I'm going to bring you back when the canner is done. But basically what it's going to boil down to is when this vent starts to vent, it's a steady stream. That means it's starting. So once it's got a steady stream, I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes. Once the 10 minutes is up, I'm going to put my weight. My particular weight here, I'm in Texas. And I'm going to put it on the 10, because there's the elevation. Make sure you check your elevation of where you live. Then you're going to set the weight on there. And then I'm going to process this for 15 minutes. I only found one person that had a processing time. All the other ones say, put your weight on, set your timer. Once your dial gets to 10 pounds of pressure, which is 240 degrees, I hope you can see that. Let me angle this. That's when you turn off your timer, turn off the heat, excuse me. Leave your weight on your dial. I'm not touching it because it's already starting to get hot. And leave that weight on there. Once it goes down to 0, your dial goes to 0. Then you remove the weight. I personally, I'm a firm believer, there's so many people that say this, is once you take the weight off, you wait 10 minutes. This is, the dial is at 0. Took the weight off, you wait a solid 10 minutes. Then you take your knobs off. And again, you do 2 across from each other. You put them on and you take them off the exact same way. And again, that's based on whatever type of canner you're using. It just depends. This is just All-American. So read your manual, read your instructions. Then you take off your lid away from you, so if there's any steam, it goes away from you and doesn't burn you. And then you wait and let it sit for 3 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. And then you take your jars out and you put the jars, the hot jars, in on a towel so they will cool, and let them sit for 12 to 24 hours. Usually I do mine at night, so that way they have all night. And I also work during the week, so I don't get to them and I don't clean them and wipe them out until the next day when I get home. So they've been there pretty much a close 12, 24 hours. Again, that just varies, because some days I do this on my weekends or my days off, and I'll do it in the morning, so it just varies. But for sure you want to let them sit and rest a good 12 to 24 hours for pretty much everything that I've seen and read. Google, YouTube, all them. It's a good 12 to 24 hours you want the jars to sit before you touch them and move them. Then you take off your rings, wash your jars, wipe them all down, make sure there's any residue in there, wipe it all out, and label them with whatever the product is, and date it, just so you know. And just depends on what it is, of how you store it, of how long it's going to store. Oh, and I forgot one more thing, is you always want to add, before you put the lid on, is whatever, if you're using the vinegar, depending on where you're in, you want to put some leftover vinegar that you use from wiping your jars, put it back in the canner, because that vinegar is going to help the water spots and the film, the coating of film, to get on your jars, which afterwards, when you're done, when you wipe it out, that's good. But you know, why do extra work when you don't have to? So, and since you already have extra vinegar in that little container that you're using when you wiped your lids, you know, just pour it back in there. That way it didn't waste it. So anyway, I'll bring you back. We're at the next phase, and we'll see you in a few minutes. Well, actually probably like 20 to 30 minutes, because that's probably how long it's going to take for this thing to heat up. Okay, we'll bring you back when I'm going to bring you back when it starts to steam. Okay, I'm bringing you back because the pressure canner is starting to vent. As you can see there, it's venting. So now, I'm going to put this down. I'm going to lay the weight on top. Oh, I'm going to let you see that. Angle this over. Because this is hot, I'm a chicken, so I'm using some tongs to put the weight on, and I gotta look for number 10 because I'm at number 10. And you just put the weight. Once this is a steady stream, and it's been pretty steady for a couple of minutes now, so I know we're good to go. I'm gonna put my weight on there, set my timer for 10 minutes. When the 10 minutes go off, then I'm gonna set my timer for 15 minutes. And that's the processing time for the canned milk. And when that timer goes off at 15 minutes, I'm going to turn the heat off. And then once it comes down to 0, this is going to go up. I'm sorry, I didn't even backtrack. This, because the timer is on here, after 10 minutes, this is going to go up. And we want to be at 10 pounds of pressure, which is 240. Once that gets there, then I start my processing time because it's going to start to jiggle. When it starts to jiggle, that's when you start your processing time. So I'll bring you back when it comes to that time frame. So now I'm setting my timer for 10 minutes, and then I'll be back. Okay, I'm bringing you back. The timer just went off, 10 seconds, and look at the gauge. I don't want to get too close because it's hot. It's right at 10 pounds of pressure. So let me put the camera down. So it's all set. You leave the weight on there. Now I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes. Let me get my timer. Okay, so set it for 15 minutes. Oh, actually take that back, not yet, not yet. I have to wait for the jiggle, for the weight to start to jiggle. Once it starts to jiggle, that's when you see it? You see that? You hear that? There's the jiggle, but it's not a steady jiggle yet. So let's just wait a few minutes so you can see that. It's starting to jiggle. We want a steady jiggle. Then once it's a steady jiggle, that's when you set the timer for 15 minutes. And then you want to adjust your weight. So the entire 15 minutes, whatever your processing time is, the entire time, like for meats, it's 75, 90 minutes, depending on what size jar you use. You want to make sure that if you have a dial, that your dial stays at 10 pounds of pressure. And you adjust to your sweet spot on your stove. Yep, see, steady jiggle. So I'm going to set my timer. 15 minutes. My timer is set. And I'm going to leave this at 240. It's a couple of notches over, so I'm going to turn it down. And I went ahead and I'm going to show you in just a second. I put little notches. My hubby got mad at me, but oh well. I put little notches on my stove knob. Let me know where my sweet spot is. So I always put it right in there. And about every 5 minutes, for the first 10 minutes, I come and check it to make sure that the dial stays right at 10 pounds of pressure. And you're going to continue to hear that jiggle. Like every 1 to 4 minutes, you're going to hear it jiggle. It's going to come and go, come and go. If you stop hearing it, then that means the weight went too far down. So turn your heat up right away, because if you let it go too long, you'll have to start the entire process all over again. And that's a waste of time. So I'm right at 240. So I'm going to put up just a little bit of heat just to make sure that I stay at 240. I'm going to leave my tongs out because I will use my tongs to get the weight off once I'm done. So I'm going to go ahead and get my towel. I'm going to lay it on my counter where my jars are going to rest till they come out of the jar, out of the canner. And then I'll bring you back when I get to that next phase for you, okay? Okay, the 15-minute timer has gone off. Turn it off. I'm going to bring it up closer. As you can see, the gauge is at 240, 10 pounds of pressure. The weight's still there. You hear it jiggle. I'm going to turn the heat off. Let the dial go all the way down to 0. Once it hits 0, then I'll take the weight off. Set timer for 10 minutes. When the 10 minutes is up, take the weight off. set the timer for, I think it's 5 minutes. I have to double check my records, but I think it's 5 minutes. Then I'll take the little knobs off each one of this and remove the lid. Make sure you remove the lid with the lid facing towards you, so the steam comes out from behind and you don't get any big gasp of steam in your face. That'll hurt. To be very, very uncomfortable and stuff. So let's be safe. And I'll bring you back when we're over to that phase. Okay, the timer's gone off. Been 20 minutes. Actually it's 10 minutes, sorry about that. Take the weight off. You know what? I'm not going to take the weight off because the timer has gone off because I set it for 20 minutes to see if it would go to 0, and I'm going to bring it a little bit closer. And look, it's not at 0. Good thing I double checked. Always double check yourself. It's not at 0, so do not touch that weight. Leave it on there. Let me set my timer. Probably put another 10 minutes and it should be at 0 then. I'll bring you back. Okay, I'm down to 0 pressure. My weight's still there and it's going to stay there. Now that it's at 0, I'm going to set my timer for 2 minutes. Then I'm going to take the weight off. Oh, I'm sorry, take that back. I take my weight off now. Bear with me to make sure you're in there. Using my trusty tongs. We're going to let that vent, let air escape for 5 minutes. Bear with me. You know what? I got to read my notes because I forget. Okay, after you take the weight off, I have a little cheat sheet note from step by step of everything from beginning to end of what you do. And this is on the inside of my spiral notebook here. Okay, 10 minutes. When you take the weight off, turn the heat off, turn the weight off, get to 0. Oh, wait, 2 minutes. So let's set the timer for 2 minutes. Okay. Then unfasten everything and take everything apart. So I'll bring you back at the end of 2 minutes. No sense in wasting recording time for you. Okay, the timer's gone off. End of the 2 minutes. Turn that off. I'm going to take off, undo the knobs. It just depends on what kind of pressure canner you have. Remember, you do the All-American, you do the 2 opposite sides. Oh, sorry, I'm in the view there, but actually, you know what? I'm going to bring it over to the side. There, you'll be able to see everything. Okay, that one, this one. This one, loosen this one up. Okay. There. Now open, get another pot holder because this thing is hot, hot, hot. Okay, here it comes. Let me see if I can get this done. I'm recording. If I can get this. Oh, okay, got it. Be careful, you pull it up away from you. Steam. This baby's hot. This baby's heavy. Okay. You see all the steam? I'm going to wait 2 minutes. You can see it all bubbling. Let me bring you up close. And you can see the milk is bubbling. And I'm going to take a jar out. I'm not going to show you all of them. I'm just going to show you one jar. And there it is. put this on the towel. Now, I'll bring you back tomorrow when you'll see all the jars are cooled off, where I'll take off the rings, wipe everything down, and will be the end of the video. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Everybody have a good night. Okay, here's all my jars. I got 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 pint jars out of 2 gallons of whole milk bought at the store, grocery store. The jars in the front are the blue tint mason jars, and the ones in the back are the clear ones, as you can tell. So we'll let them cool off. Tomorrow evening when I get home from work, I have to remove the lids, remove the rings, get a nice soapy wet towel and wipe everything down, label everything, and then put it on the shelf. And when I get ready to make, I think I'm gonna maybe bake a pie or bake a bread or some kind of like banana bread or something like that. And then I'll use this milk instead of the refrigerated whole milk, and show you and take it, taste it. I'm not going to tell hubby, so I'm not going to post this video till afterwards. He doesn't always watch all my videos, but sometimes he does. So I'm not going to tell him I made the bread, whatever it is that I baked with this canned milk, to see if he notices the difference. Okay, great. We'll bring you back tomorrow. Here is the inside of my canner. As you can see, there's residual milk from the leakage and seepage, which is pretty standard with a lot of pressure canning. It's just one of the things that happens. As long as the jar is sealed, then everything's fine. Let me bring you back over here. And as you can see, there's some milk on top of all this. It looks like it's, well, you know what? It's not on all the jars. It's right here in these blue ones. But look at these back here. Some of these have milk on them, some of them don't. But then again, I couldn't really tell if some of these were from the top rack or somewhere on the bottom rack. But I believe it's the ones that don't have any milk on top were the ones that were in the top rack. And the ones that have milk were the ones in the bottom rack. Which is more than likely what happened. It's just, this is standard, it's common. I was hoping some of them would start pinging. They've been ping, 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 ping. But it looks like they've all pinged already. That sure didn't take long. That was only less than 3 minutes. They all pinged. So that looks good. They're all still bubbling. We'll let them cool off. We'll catch them tomorrow. And we'll go to the next phase. Thank you. Hey there, I'm back. Okay, here's all my jars that I did can the milk. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And then here's one, but I wanted to show you this. And I've heard this is what happens because it just causes leakage. So there's the milk residue that dried up. See that? All that dried up milk. And because I had to work today, and it's now 8:25, just got through with supper, I'm going to have to soak these in hot water so I can rinse off the milk before I store them in my pantry. And it's because they're totally sealed. I checked every single one of them. They're totally sealed. That's not going to hurt anything because they've got a good seal on them. So this is something you can look out for if you're canning milk or any other like a meat product or anything with a bunch of stock that has a lot of seepage. As long as the jar is sealed, check it and test it. Then you won't have any problem soaking them in water to wipe them all down. And then you can get your rings cleaned, the jars are all cleaned, and your lids are all cleaned before you put it away in your pantry. Okay, great. Thank you very much. We'll catch you at the next video. Please hit like, share, and comment. And thank you, and have a wonderful day. Hi, I'm bringing you back. This is the last part. And see how the milk got all cleaned and washed. Now, all the jars did have to soak a good hour, hour and a half in hot soapy water. But they're all still very sealed. They all popped. And they went ping, 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 ping. And they're all set and done. But see, this is the one that I showed you earlier, how dirty it was. But it's all clean. Everything's took away. So now I'm just going to label it. And as you can see, I reused my lids. I'm just going to label it, store it away, and we're all set till the next batch, which probably won't be for another 2 or 3 months since we're empty nesters, just the 2 of us here. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. See you at the next video. Bye-bye.